Welcome to my channel, detailing events throughout the decades. 2014. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was a scheduled flight, which was to take 11.5 hours to reach its destination of Kuala Lumpur on July 14, 2014. Flight 17 had departed from Amsterdam Airport. The aircraft was a Boeing 777, and on board were 283 passengers and 15 crew members. In the cockpit was Captain Eugene Chu Jin Leong. First officer was Mudfirdoz Abdul Rahim. The flight plan took Flight 17 across the entire breadth of Ukraine, which included the eastern part of the country, where Russian-backed separatists and government forces were engaged in combat. The aircraft flew over the region at 33,000 feet, in accordance with a minimum altitude restriction, which was put in place by Ukrainian aviation authorities just 3 days before. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 reached the Russian border, where communication was made with air traffic control in Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine, and Rostov-na-Donu, Russia, just before 1320. However, it wasn't long after this that communication from Flight 17 ceased. There was no distress signal received from Flight 17, and it was at 1326 that Flight 17 disappeared from radar screens. Witnesses report seeing a mid-air explosion before wreckage from Flight 17 was scattered over an area of 20 square miles. It was now apparent that Flight 17 had crashed. Rescue workers arrived quickly on scene, where the separatists handed over the aircraft voice and data recorders to the Malaysian authorities. However, due to the armed conflict going on, this made the investigation into the crash very complicated. Sadly, no survivors were found from Flight 17. The data recorders were analyzed, and wreckage partly reconstructed. However, it was concluded that the crash had been caused by the detonation of a warhead from a guided missile, which had been launched from the ground. This was found capable of reaching the cruising altitude of Flight 17. It was found that the missile didn't actually hit Flight 17, but had exploded a few feet away from the cockpit, sending shrapnel fragments through the fuselage. Those in the cockpit were thought to have been killed instantly. It was then thought that the forward section of the aircraft broke away. The wings, passenger compartment, and the tail section remained in the air for another minute or so, before separating and falling to the ground below. After the crash of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, it is reported that the Ukrainian government produced an intercepted audio transmission which alleged pro-Russian separatists had talked about shooting down a plane. However, the separatists denied this. It was in September 2016 that a Dutch-led prosecutorial team presented evidence that a fatal missile had been launched from the separatists' territory in Ukraine. This weapon was thought to have been brought from Russia. It wasn't until June 2019 that Dutch prosecutors filed charges against 4 men, 3 of which were Russian, and 1 Ukraine, with the main suspect responsible being Igor Girkin. After the crash of Flight 17, several memorials were erected in honor of those who were killed on board. We hope that these men will finally get the punishment they deserve, and justice is done for those on board Flight 17. Sadly, we would like to hope that these types of events are a one-off, but sadly, we still see air crashes even today. We forever remembering all those who perished that fateful day on board Flight 17. May you never be forgotten. Thank you for watching and remembering those who died in this sad event. Please subscribe to my channel, to view other events which has happened throughout the decades.